Iron Flame, Empyrean. Book 2, by Rebecca Yarros. Part 5, short audiobook by the summary of Violet, under the cover of the moonless night, followed Tern to the edge of the training grounds. The air was thick with anticipation, much like the heavy clouds before a thunderstorm. Dragons, Tern's voice rumbled in her mind, a deep, resonant sound that seemed to echo through her very bones, are not just creatures of power but bearers of ancient wisdom. You, Violet, are about to learn what it truly means to be bonded. They ventured into a cavern, hidden by the shadows of the mountains surrounding Basgiath. The walls were alight with bioluminescent fungi, casting an eerie green glow. Here, other dragons and their riders waited, their eyes gleaming with curiosity and challenge. Each dragon, Tern began, his massive form filling the cavern, carries within it a part of the Empyrean, the very essence of magic that binds our world. Your strength, Violet, does not just come from within you, but from this connection. Violet listened, her heart pounding with the weight of this revelation. Tern described how dragons could channel energy from the Empyrean, enhancing their fire, their flight, even their bond with their riders. But Tern's tone grew serious. This connection is not without its perils. Overuse can drain a dragon, or worse, draw unwanted attention from those who wish to harness such power for darker purposes. As Tern spoke, he extended his wing, revealing a series of runes glowing faintly in the dim light. These runes, he explained, are not just symbols but keys to unlocking abilities long dormant in our kind. Watch closely, Violet. He then demonstrated by focusing his energy, causing the runes to brighten. The air shimmered around him, and suddenly a barrier of energy formed, invisible yet palpable, a shield against any attack. Violet, inspired by this display, reached out through their bond, feeling the surge of power. She mimicked Tern, her own hands glowing faintly as she tried to conjure the same shield. It was weak, flickering like a candle in the wind, but it was there. The other dragons and riders watched, some with awe, others with envy. A young rider, whose dragon had not shown such capabilities, stepped forward, his voice tinged with both admiration and challenge. Can any rider harness this power, or is it just for the chosen few? Tern's response was a deep, rumbling chuckle. The power is there for all, but it takes a bond like ours, a mutual trust and understanding, to truly wield it. This statement sparked whispers among the onlookers. Violet knew this knowledge could either elevate her status or make her a target. She felt the weight of their gazes, the mix of respect and the undercurrent of fear. The gathering concluded with a council, not just of riders but of dragons themselves. Ancient, wise creatures from various clans converged, their scales reflecting the myriad colors of the cavern's light. Here, Violet learned that dragons had their own politics, their rivalries and alliances. Tern, one of the elder dragons, a massive silver beast, addressed, "You bring your rider here to learn to grow. This is commendable. But remember, power such as this, it does not go unnoticed." The council ended with an agreement. Violet would be under scrutiny, her progress and her bond with Tern closely watched. They would aid her, but she must prove her worth, prove that her heart was as strong as her bond. Walking back to the college, the night air crisp against her skin, Violet felt different. Her steps were lighter, her mind buzzing with new possibilities. She had seen the potential now. It wasn't just about surviving the war college or the battles ahead. It was about mastering this new discipline, this dance of magic and might. Tern's voice came again, softer this time. "You are more than a rider, Violet. You are a bridge, a conduit for powers long forgotten. Use this wisely, for the scales of fate are ever so finely balanced. And so, my friend, Violet's journey takes a turn into the mystical. She's not just fighting for survival anymore. She's stepping into a role that could very well tip the scales in this war-torn world. Chapter 5 ends with Violet under the gaze of dragons, both literal and metaphorical, as she steps into her power, her bond with Tern now a beacon of what's possible. But with power comes responsibility, and as the dragons watch, so do the enemies of Basgiath. What will she do with this newfound strength? Tune in next time as the saga continues. The sun was setting, casting an ominous red glow over Basgiath War College. Violet felt the tension in the air, thicker than the fog that had begun to roll in from the mountains. The cadets were on high alert. Whispers of an impending attack had circulated like wildfire. Violet was strapping Tern's saddle when Xaden approached, his face unreadable. "It's not just any attack," he said, his voice low. "It's a test for us, for our dragons. They're coming for the Empyrean." The first sign was a tremor, not from the ground, but from the air, as if the sky itself was protesting. Then the sky darkened with wings, not of their own dragons, but of those belonging to the enemy. "Stay close," Tern instructed through their bond, his voice a blend of calm and urgency. The air around them charged with magic as dragons took flight, riders mounted, and the ground forces readied their weapons. The enemy was upon them before the last of the sun's light faded. Dragons clashed in the sky, their roars echoing like thunder. Fire lit up the night, painting the battlefield in hues of orange and red. Violet and Tern had barely ascended when a rogue dragon, scales black as the night, targeted them with a blast of dark fire. Violet's heart raced, her training kicking in. She guided Tern with precise movements, dodging the fire. Tern retaliated with a burst of his own, the flames clashing in the air with a sound like 1,000 swords striking at once. On the ground, chaos reigned. Violet witnessed cadets she trained with, fought beside, fall. She felt the sting of loss, but there was no time for grief. She directed Tern towards another enemy dragon, their bond allowing for maneuvers impossible for lesser pairs. Mid-battle, a moment of clarity struck Violet. This wasn't just about brute force, but about strategy, about using the Empyrean connection. She closed her eyes, feeling the energy, not just from Tern but from the very air around them, charged with the magic of dragons. She willed the energy into a barrier, not just for defense, but to deflect the enemy's attacks back at them. It worked, but the strain was evident. "We can't keep this up," she panted to Tern, his wings beating furiously against the onslaught. Just when it seemed the enemy would overrun them, a new force arrived. Dragons of the sky, not of Basgiath, but from an allied clan, their scales gleaming with the light of the moon. Their leader, a majestic dragon with scales like polished bronze, spoke directly to Tern. "We come at the behest of the council." This alliance turned the tide. The enemies, now caught between two forces, began to falter. Violet and Tern pushed with renewed vigor, each strike now part of a larger, coordinated effort. As the enemy retreated, the cost was clear. The ground was littered with the fallen, friend and foe alike. Violet dismounted, her legs weak, her heart heavy. She found Xaden, his face a mask of controlled fury and sorrow, attending to a wounded rider. "This was no skirmish," Xaden said, his voice carrying the weight of command and grief. "They wanted to see our defenses, to test our resolve." Amidst the wreckage, Violet's eyes caught on a fallen enemy rider, his armor different, his weapon not of their world. She knelt, curiosity overcoming her exhaustion. The weapon was unlike any she'd seen, dark metal with runes that pulsed with a malevolent energy. "This isn't just a war of might," she murmured to herself, realizing the implications. The enemy was after something more than conquest. They sought the Empyrean's power. Back at the college, as healers moved among the wounded and the dragons rested, Violet sat with Tern. The battle had changed her, not just physically, but in her understanding of what lay ahead. "The Empyrean," she said aloud, not just to Tern but as if speaking to the night itself. "It's what they're after. We're not just defending our home. We're guarding a power that could change everything." Tern's response was a deep, comforting rumble through their bond. "And you, my rider, are becoming the key to that power." Chapter 6 ends with our heroes battered but unbroken, with Violet realizing the true stakes of this war. It's not just about surviving, it's about what you're willing to fight for. What will Violet do with this realization? How will this battle shape her path forward? Stay tuned, dear listener, for the next chapter where secrets are unearthed and alliances are tested. The saga of Iron Flame has only just begun to burn brightly.